thank you for this Black History Month.
JB, are you up on the
Thank you. Just went up.
Okay, I'm gonna roll this commercial. As soon as this commercial's done.
Fantastic.
Sometimes, even if we are active in our religious community, we need to be reminded that love is the essence of God. So today, we pray that God will be above us for blessings, below us for support, before us for guidance, behind us for protection, beside us for comfort and support, and most importantly, may God be inside us for righteous strength and determination.
I'm JB Bryan, the creator of AfroEconomics, a strategic financial empowerment program based on 10 timeless financial principles like generational wealth and legacy, financial knowledge, credit confidence, entrepreneurship, self-reliance, and more. AfroEconomics gives you the guidance and tools you can use to develop and sustain wealth. Check out AfroEconomics on your favorite social media platforms. You will find us everywhere. Plus, enjoy my weekly AfroEconomics podcast. There are many levels of AfroEconomics membership, including the free online access membership level called No Excuses. So make no excuses and check out AfroEconomics.com today. Powered by JB Bryan Financial Group, Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm. Hashtag AfroEconomics.
Be safe, look after yourself, and look after one another. Thank you.
Learn how you can help first responders in your community by texting BRAVE to 24365. Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor?
Yes, I am.
Yay. My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force, helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing. It really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S.
I'm Shanola Hampton. Every day, millions of people face hunger. Today, I will share with you some of their experiences. I'm stuck between paying for medications or paying for food. John from Maine. After paying my bills, I can buy groceries. It's sad to say, food comes last. Alice from Oregon. I thought pantries were for less fortunate people, but anybody could be less fortunate in a day or even a second. Claire from Virginia. The Feeding America network of food banks helps provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. No one should have to worry where their next meal will come from. Together, we can end hunger. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
WOL, Washington, D.C. W240DJ, Washington. 95.9 WMMJ, HD3, Bethesda. WKYS, HD3, Washington. WPRS, HD3, Waldorf, and worldwide at WOLDCnews.com.
The views and opinions of the following show do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk 1450 WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management.
The Carl Nelson Show.
You're rocking with the most ultimate. All right, let's go. Keep rocking.
Happy Hump Day, family. Thanks for starting your day with us again. Later, the founder of the LA chapter of the Black Lives Matter group will check into our classroom. Dr. Melina Abdullah will explain how the hijacking of the BLM moniker took place. You know, people here talking about Black Lives Matter and think it's just one group. No, it's not. So Dr. Abdullah will discuss how she became a target after exposing the illegal takeover. Before Dr. Abdullah, the Faith Brothers will join us. Before the Faith Brothers, Dick Gregory's youngest son, Yohanse, will be here. To get us started, financial expert JB Bryan is joining us right now. Good morning, JB.
Good morning, my friend. It's so good to be here with you. It's just a great opportunity. It's just as cold as ever on the East Coast. we have so many listeners all over the world, though. Somewhere it's warm. Send us some warmness. Call in this morning. Just send us a warm hug, because we're out here freezing to bring you this knowledge. Yeah, and I thank you for this opportunity.
And we got the folks on the West Coast who have rained out, especially in Southern California. That rain's moving out to Nevada and coming east now. So they've been having rains for a while. Somebody told me they haven't seen the sun in quite some time because it's been rainy and cloudy out there. So we complain about, how cold it is. They complain how wet it is. The rain's causing a lot of problems out there.
Got to keep pushing.
But anyway,
push through.
Yeah, we got to keep pushing. Let's get it started this morning, though, because we're now into February. About this time, people, all those New Year's resolutions that people made, JB, they probably, passed them by now at this point, especially when it comes to money, saving money.
Yes.
So how do we and I want to talk also about credit card debt, because I see that credit card debt is just off the charts now. This is what they tell us. If there's a way around that, if you could explain that. And I think it comes down to discipline, even with savings, even with the credit card, handling a credit card. Would you say it comes down to discipline?
Great point. Everything is about discipline, because credit card debt, the issue right now is we're realizing that you're out of control. Like you have no control over your credit card debt, meaning your payment is not something that you can decide upon. See, when interest rates are rising the way that they have been, until we get a serious reduction in interest rates, your credit card payments are going to continue to go up. The minimum payment required is like 4 times what it would have been 2 years ago, even if your balance is the same. You see what I'm saying? But just because the interest rate that you're paying on that balance is so much higher. And I hear that complaint so much more. They're like, my minimum payment used to be $50. Now my minimum payment is $200. So they still owe the same amount on the credit card, but the interest rate is so much higher. So they're compounding so much more interest every day, because they were able to, that credit card used to be 9%. Now it's 20% on that credit card. So they have to pay so much more to have that same amount of debt that they're carrying. And that is the reason why, they have such a large percentage of people that cannot afford to pay that same minimum payment. It's not even the same minimum payment. Their minimum payment is so much larger. And I had one person that called me, and they were saying that they used to flip from one card to another to avoid even having to pay payments. And now they don't have that offer. Like we were talking about last month, those offers aren't out there as much. So they can't flip from one card to the next and get the 6 months without any payments and things that were used to be available before. So it's, definitely a different environment, and wages haven't gone up to allow you to have a whole bunch more money coming in unless you're taking on additional job. So it is difficult. And so if you're adding money to that balance, if you're putting additional debt to that, that can be a serious problem for the family finances.
All right, I forgot to ask you, are you broadcasting live on social media this morning?
That's right. JB Bryan with Carl Nelson, Google, wherever your favorite social media platform is. That's why I come into the studio, so that we can be everywhere, so that you can hear our voices. Go to wherever you prefer, and you'll see us streaming live. Definitely. Hear us
Let
both.
me ask you this, though, because
Mhm.
the question I asked you about a credit
Mhm.
card, a friend of mine
Mhm.
had a credit card and he paid it off,
Mhm.
and his credit score went down.
Mhm.
I mean, went up because he paid it off. That's right. His credit score went up.
Went up. Good.
And the
Mhm.
question I told him I'd ask you, should
Okay.
he have kept something on the credit card or should he have just paid it off?
Well, it's great that it went up, and he probably would have seen that same move, at least a great move, if he brought it down to anything below 30%. So if he had it, say, at 60% of the credit available used, if he brought it down to, say, 25%, even 20%, he brought it down to 0% of it used, that's fantastic. But if he brought it down to 20, he still would have saw a great movement forward, because that's a positive movement in your credit score to have so much credit available for use. So
So you're saying it's better not to pay it off, to just leave a little on your credit card?
No, it's always better, but for he's got it because he has a credit history. So for his stage, I'm assuming that he has a good, credit history established. So he doesn't have to really use it because he has an established credit history of use. But so there's people have different challenges. But depending on the situation, a person that doesn't have a credit history, they have to use it to establish history. But he doesn't have to use it because he has such an established history. He can go down to 0, and it's a good thing. If this person has only, been using a credit card for a year, they don't have any history. If they have the credit card at 100, it's not going to really make a big movement on the credit like it did for him, typically. But everybody's, situation is different. But for a person with a long history of using credit, and they have like possibly maxed out their card, and they start paying down their cards, it's going to be a good movement for their score, because it's like, whoa, they came into some money, or wow, they're doing the right thing all of a sudden, right? It's going to look good. Yeah.
And that brings us 10 after the top there. One of our listeners in Houston who called us and says he had immaculate credit. He had 850 credit score.
That's
Is that something everybody should try to get, an 850 credit score? Does it make a difference to the lenders if you have an 850 or 810? Where's the cutoff line? Do you know?
It would depend on what you're trying to accomplish, because 850 is really more of a ego thing. It really has to feel good to that person, but you're going to get the best score that they have to offer somewhere below a 850. If you go to the company and say, what do you consider the best score to get your best rate? Most likely they're going to say anything over 750, we consider excellent. Definitely over 800, they consider excellent. But what do you have to do to get to this 800? That's what you have to ask yourself, because there's pros and cons to having these really high scores. You don't have, like, a person who doesn't have debt, is debt free, typically is not going to have a great 850 score. A person with an 850 score has had a lot of debt over their lifetime, in most cases, and they've lived long enough to pay it off or pay it down. So they have all different types of debt. They've usually had school loans, they've had mortgages, they've had cars, they've had credit cards, they've had keyword. They've paid all these things down. They've paid them on time. They've paid them well. So there's time, there's good habits, there's good discipline, there's low ratios of use. And so to get those high scores, there's got to be history, and there's got to be low usage on there to get there. And there's got to be a variety of debt usage. So it really, like, for me, for example, as an entrepreneur, I had to reduce my usage of debt because it was stressing me out living that way. It depends on the person. Some people, it does not stress them out to live that way. I saw a direct correlation between an increase in BMI, body mass index, and high debt ratio. Like, the more debt I would have, the more I'd stress out, and the more the heavier I would get as far as like having to eat, having to, work overtime, having to, just stress. And just even if I didn't, just stress is not healthy for me. So if I can relax,
Hold on for a bit, JB, because we're going to take a short break. Because, you got some folks who really don't care what their credit score is, because they think it's all rigged anyway. When we come back, though, I want you to tell us what's the best way to do any kind of credit, not just credit cards. Should you pay the minimum balance or paying on time? Which one is considered more? With the credit company is considered more. Family, listening to us this morning, you got a question about money? You can reach out to us at 800-450-7876. We'll take your phone calls in 4 minutes right here in Baltimore on 1010 WOLB. If you're in the DMV, you're on FM 95.9 and AM 1450. WOL.
Great question.
Information is power.
Hi, Mr. Benson. Property, vet, and investment. You hire an investment advisor like me, right? What do you think I would say? That's what I do for a living. But I do believe that, there is something to be said on that. And then we vet it together. I give you information. I get to know my client. I get my client information on it. I get it. And we look at it. Yeah. And then should we match it? And then, that is indeed my job. To go out and get something that matches your goals, and not just one, but to actually establish a portfolio. And sometimes it's about doing that with the things at work.
Use of the One VIP card is subject to terms and conditions.
Sunday, February 25th.
What's up, everybody? Make some noise.
Join us for Urban One Honor, a star-studded night honoring the best in Black.
We are celebrating Black excellence in every way.
And celebrating 20 years
But definitely, when it comes to investing, I do think that it's important to start with vetting yourself, getting to know yourself, your risk tolerance, what your goals are, what you want. And then seeking investments that satisfy that. And then, definitely consider having a registered investment advisor that focuses on and is licensed to make decisions based on your best interest.
Paid for by the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids.
Prior to setting up a portfolio, where can I safely park $20 million? You should have put that up there with all the zeros. Why write out million when you could do 20, comma 000, comma 000? We can talk about that. Yeah. No, put this up here.
Same joy that can be found in our new Black History Month collection.
No move.
Like feeling empowered with the teas and mugs from Legendary Roots, or seeing the beauty of Black culture through the art of Winnie Weston.
Write out all the numbers.
Bring more Black joy to your day with an affordable collection that embraces it. Available now at Target.com/Black Beyond Measure. Don't settle for bumps, ingrowns, and issues.
Yes, so
skin. Try Venus for
That's an
pubic
easy
hair and
answer.
skin, the razor and regimen specifically designed for your pubic area, featuring a razor with
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
and skincare regimen that is
Good. That's right. Now, do you see how much better that looks?
Venus helps protect your pubic skin from shave
Is your brother's name George? That's what it is. You are George Benson's brother.
Collection agency on earth. And if you owe back taxes, news isn't good. The IRS is raising the interest rate it charges on
Everything must change.
Most people don't know it, but the IRS adds interest charges on your tax debt daily.
Nothing
So if you owe the IRS
stays the
today, you owe
same.
even more tomorrow. And it doesn't stop until you get right with the IRS. The good news is getting right can start with one phone call to Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm. Optima's tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, a powerful IRS program that can save you thousands if you qualify. In fact, the experts at Optima Tax have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients. Call now for a free
It's your
consultation.
brother.
Call 800-279-68.
Your brother?
800-279-68.
Oh, it's not your. I thought it was your brother. We don't even need to play his affirmation.
Everybody has a smile story. Those
Too
daily
bad for
moments
him.
of joy that make you smile, especially when you're a child like 3-year-old Zena.
That's
Her
indeed.
smile is as bright as her future. But there's something you wouldn't know
I
about
forgot what
Zena.
Carl was
She was
asking me
born with
about.
a cleft lip, which can make it hard to eat, talk, hear, and even breathe.
He was
And
asking
she's
me.
far from alone. A baby is born with a cleft
Somebody tell me
every
what Carl was
3
asking
minutes.
me about.
This hurdle could have kept Zena from
Oh,
living her
BMI, body mass index, and even if I didn't, just stress is not healthy for me. So if I can,
provide breast care in their
you are
own
so good. If I can relax, yeah,
JB, because I take a short break. Because you got some folks who really don't care what their credit score is. Because they think
it's amazing.
Their full smile story. Learn how you can
We're
help
talking about
more kids
BMI.
like Zena at
And credit scores.
smiletrain.org/learn.
But did you know that there is a direct correlation between high BMI and low credit score?
Now back to the Carl
I guess
Nelson
that would
Show.
be. That's an inverse? Yeah, low credit score, low credit score, or high, we don't know what causes what, but yes, it's bad for your health. The stress. I don't know which one causes.
And good morning
what.
once again, family. 20 minutes after the top of the hour with financial advisor JB Bryan. JB is broadcasting live across social media, and you can see some folks. They have a chat room there, so if you want to be on the radio and got questions for JB, she can answer them right there for you in the chat room. I see some folks already in the chat room. And we got a tweet question came into the studio for you, JB. Before we do the tweet question, though, my question was about paying off credit cards or debt. Should you just pay the minimum amount or pay it on time? Which one to do the, I guess the credit card folks think is most important?
You should definitely, if you, credit cards are not, therefore paying off immediately. They are a loan. They are, you can't write off the interest. You can't, can't take an itemized deduction for the interest that you pay on that. A client was telling me the other day that she remembers in her lifetime when you could actually put credit card interest as an itemized deduction, like your home mortgage interest. No, but that does not exist. So get rid of it. We have to get rid of credit card interest as soon as possible. So if you're grown and you're not trying to establish credit, and the interesting thing is that we do need to all establish credit at some point in our life, because it's used even for car insurance and life insurance and things like it's just used to show, I guess, that you're a bill-paying citizen. So you have these things, but there's other ways of doing it now, because you can use it you can establish credit using your cell phone bill and other things. So you don't have to actually go into debt now for to establish your credit. So there's other ways, but let's just assume that you're using your credit card to establish your debt. make sure you don't have more than 20% ever on your credit card. But if you only can afford to pay your minimum, then only pay your minimum. But if you can afford to pay more, then pay more. But don't put anything but what you can actually afford to pay off on the credit card. So I would focus, if you can, on your debit card so that you are spending money that you actually, have, and just spend from your debit card if you can. That is the best way to live, especially if you have, a salary job. You know exactly what you're going to make every month. You know exactly what you should be living off of. If you're using your credit card, you're spending money that you don't have. It is a loan. And unless you own a business, you cannot write off that interest on that credit card. So that you need to be strategic in realizing that you're self-sabotaging by using your credit card as a person, that it is putting you into a hole. And I think that we don't take it as serious as we should. If we had a chance to look back in life and we realize that the return that we're getting on our investments is so far less than the money that we're spending on our debts, that we're not getting anywhere. And a lot of people, do that. They'll be so excited about all the money that they're putting away or putting into, say, an investment account. But at the same time, they're charging all these items on their credit card. And the return on their investments, because they're not strategic in their investments, they're making poor investments, or even they took out a loan to make an investment, or they even use an equity line to make an investment, and they didn't, and they made a bad investment, and they still have to pay that debt back. It's horrible because they never take the time to realize that. So as they get older, they realize that they're broke. And that really hurts. And they can't figure out, like, why am I broke? I did all these investing. And unfortunately, I see it a lot with, and I know it's going to hurt a lot of people, and someone may run off the road, and please don't do that. But it happens a lot with real estate. And you're going, and
I got a tweet question for you,
yeah.
JB. 25 minutes after the time there, JB. Will tweeted, and he says that he wants to know how to calculate how much money. Let me read it. How much? I want to know how much money I need to calculate to retire. How much is there a formula that one uses, JB? To retire?
Yeah, that's easy. Yeah, that you could. I mean, there's so much, software out here like that. That's a basic when you're in AfroEconomics, that I've program that comes with it. That you that's like step number one. Put in the goal, put in how much you want to have at retirement. It tells you how much, that's what we start doing from day one. But you also could start with just estimate on what you're making now. And a rule of thumb is that you'll need at least about 80% of your current income, for your retirement. So, if you're making 100,000, you're going to need about 80,000 for your retirement. So if you had like $1 million at retirement and you take out about 4%, that's about 40,000. So you're going to need at least 2 million at retirement to generate 80, and then
right. I know you're just using these numbers are easy so people can calculate. But for the folks who just basically, JB, who live check to check, people are just struggling to stretch that dollar into $5. What advice do you have for them? Is retirement a goal, or should they are they destined to work for the rest of their lives?
That's right.
What's up?
Well, I think they should get in something like AfroEconomics that's free. I've my No Excuse program, and I meet every week. That at minimum they should be partnering with someone like me at least what for the rest of my life. I hope that I live, for another day, but I wouldn't let me die without getting in my program and try. I've been giving out my book for free. They can email me, I'm doing as much as I can for us to do something. In my book, I have like 10 principles that we should be doing that it's nothing about your income. I don't require anything for income. I don't require anything about how much money you got to have. But we spend a lot of money self-sabotaging and talking to people that tell us, well, you know what, you don't have enough money for me to talk to you. And me, this and that. And I have been, doing this business for over 30 years. I've been an investment advisor, licensed. So we got to kind of think like, whoa, this woman's trying
help
to
us out
help
here,
us.
then. Well, just give us 3 of the 10. Just JB, just give us 3 of the 10 of people listening right now.
Well, like what you're talking about, right?
They can, they can do today or tomorrow. They can just get started.
Yeah, like we're talking about right now is credit confidence. And then the first one is legacy, but you're talking about credit confidence. Number 7, and then entrepreneurship. Number 8, and then even if we throw in a number 4, which is the 10th one, our health and how important that is in connection to our wealth. So even if you do have to work for the rest of your life, which is my plan, because I love my work, that if you keep your health together, you can do that. And what kind of steps are we taking to protect, our health? And I spend a lot of time in connecting that in AfroEconomics, and we don't want to accept it. We don't want to believe it. But even when you're on Medicare, because you're 65 and you get this Medicare, your health impacts the money you spend, because so much of Medicare is not covered. I don't care. You think you paying $179 and you walk in there and you get to see the doctor. That's all you get with $179. Because after that, they're telling you got to pay $2,000 for this, $100 for this, $250 for that, this and that, because of what we're doing at 30, 40, 50, 25, all of those things. So we got to catch it now while we're working, so that when we're older, we're not regretting what we're doing today. And I'm serious about that as anything else that we do. So these, all of these, like that legacy, the first step is we have to start thinking about why we do what we do. If not, if we just spend our time chasing money, then we're always going to be jacked up. We're going to be going into debt constantly, because money will have you constantly chasing it, and you will end up in jail, because money will do that. But if you say, okay, I got to create a lifestyle that will create money even after me. That's what I think about every day. I go, well, AfroEconomics has to be a form of artificial intelligence when I'm gone. People need to be able to log in to my website when I'm gone and continue to select their portfolio. This is their risk tolerance. This is what I think about every day. Boom. This is the AfroEconomics portfolio that is most appropriate for them. And it is running way beyond the next generation. That's the first principle of AfroEconomics. Why are you doing what you do, and putting that footprint in the sand for the next generation? That's why I
would right there,
yes.
JB.
Mm-hmm.
There's got another interesting tweet for you. 30 minutes after the top of the hour with JB Bryan from AfroEconomics family. And if you've got a question about money, savings, or your personal account, reach out to us at 800-450-7876. I mentioned she's broadcasting live all across social media, and they have a little chat room there, and folks are already in the chat room having the discussions, sidebar, if you will, on the discussions. But I got a tweet for you, JB. The tweet is from Ed. Ed says, my retirement is to try and stay healthy, because I'm definitely going to have to work till I drop.
Amen.
But I projected that years ago, and he says that's what child support does to a person.
Amen.
For people who are like Ed, who got child support issues that are going to keep them working, as he says, to a job, your help for Brother Ed right there, right now.
That's true. I mean, a healthy man can have kids. Like a friend of mine, he's in his 60s and he just had a baby. So yeah, that's why his Social Security will pay for his minor child. So that's to his advantage if he had his child, in his 60s, but if he had his child in his 50s, he's SOL, you know what I'm saying? It's like he got to pay it out of his income. But that, as you get older, the minor child starts getting a check from the retirement check. So it should supersede the child support coming from the other income, or at least reduce what has to come from the income. So that's something to look forward to. But yeah, it is definitely can impact it. But I did a workshop one time called Building Wealth While Paying Child Support, because it is real. And I feel that men should really be careful on realizing that they have to pay the child support, because if not, some women will make poor choices and expose their children to unnecessary risk. And they have to take it seriously, because they'll get sloppy because they don't have any money coming in, and they'll bring in men that will, expose their children to men because they need the help. You see what I'm saying? So you want to make sure you have that money flowing to your children so that she doesn't have to do it. And you want to communicate that to her. Look, I'm paying this money. So I don't want you to choose the wrong person, because you got this. So my kids should be all right. And then, so because it happens, if she doesn't have the money, then she has to go live with somebody and stuff like that. If that happens and you're paying money, then you should be able to go to the court and say, I don't want my kids in this type of situation, because the money is there for her to be living in a safe environment. They shouldn't be in this environment. So, but it's real.
JB.
Yes.
We're taking a quick break here, 26 minutes away from the top of the hour. Financial advisor, JB Bryan. Got a question about money, your personal finances? Reach out to us. Our telephone number is 800-450-7876. Your phone calls in 4 minutes right here in Baltimore on 1010 WOLB, and also in the DMV, Run FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL, where information is power.
It's real.
I'm JB Bryan, the creator of AfroEconomics, a strategic financial empowerment program based on 10 timeless financial principles like generational wealth and legacy, financial knowledge, credit confidence, entrepreneurship, self-reliance, and more. AfroEconomics gives you the guidance and tools you can use to develop and sustain wealth. Check out AfroEconomics on your favorite social media platforms. You will find us everywhere. Plus, enjoy my weekly AfroEconomics podcast. There are many levels of AfroEconomics membership, including the free online access membership level called No Excuses. So make no excuses and check out AfroEconomics.com today. Powered by JB Bryan Financial Group Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm. Hashtag AfroEconomics.
Beauty and fragrances they'll love. From Clinique, Carolina Herrera, and more. And get it faster
Funny
when you
since
pick
last night.
or
I know.
curbside.
My mom was in the hospital and just, ooh.
Special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with
You feel like you're handling things, but you
warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to the decline in the
you're
economy,
just keeping on going. That's what we're doing.
Now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket
And I
expenses on
stress
future
out.
auto repairs. Call
Oh,
now to
I
find
feel
out
it.
how you can
Always
pay
feel
almost
it right
nothing for
there.
covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto
Day by
repairs.
day.
An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call
Day
for a
by
free
day.
quick quote. Call
Thank you.
800-698-7148 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection
So
plan
I'm
is
gonna
at an
go see
all-time
her
low.
after
Additionally,
this. I'm not
drivers
that
who
far
activate
from the
this
hospital.
protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental
I would
options
like
at
to
no
walk
additional
up there,
cost.
but I'm
Call
not.
for your free quick quote today.
What you think, Paul? What you think about me walking the MCV? No.
Oh, I'll take you up there.
No. I
just
mean,
right
I'm
up here.
saying like because it would help because I'm used to exercising this time in the morning. But that's not a good idea.
Worry about how much someone drinks.
No. I mean, if you want to do the walk,
Is it
I think
safe?
you're fine because, everybody else is walking up the hill going to because they
do.
park down here.
They do.
Yeah, and all the nurses and the doctors and stuff, they're all walking up the hill.
Is the JV never to be seen again? I'm joking.
No. I mean, I think
if I do it,
if
I'll
the sun
text
is
you.
out,
I'll text you. I'll let you know. I got
right. If the sun is out and everything, I would be safe. But I can
because
take
you just go
there.
like you just go like
Just walk up Broad Street. Walk up the hill.
park right past the McDonald's, like right up there. Yeah.
Yeah. They all park over here in these lots right here.
I saw this guy do a video and he said he was talking about the gas station right there. They were like, that gas station is not safe.
No, I would not hang around that gas station. They play opera music. They blast opera music out of these speakers that are attached to the gas station so that it drives people away.
Are you serious?
As a heart attack.
It's not just in your head.
I couldn't believe they put it in the video. I was like, why are they picking on that gas station? I never had a problem with that gas station, but like you said, but we don't hang around the gas station.
Yeah, you just don't want to hang around there.
Picking on that gas station.
But yeah, the guy that owns that installed speakers all the way around in the front and in the back.
Good for them, though. He chose opera.
Now back to the Carl Nelson Show.
And good morning once again, family. 21 minutes away from the top of the hour with our guest, JB Bryan. JB is a financial advisor, and she's broadcasting live all across social media, so you can check her out. You can see what she looks like in front of the microphone right now. And they have a sidebar, like a chat room there, and folks are over in the chat room, and they're having their personal discussions. But if you want to, on the radio, you want to speak to her directly, reach out to us at 800-450-7876. Before we go back to it, let me just remind you, coming up later this morning, we're going to speak with Dr. Melina Abdullah. She's the co-founder of the LA chapter of Black Lives Matter. She's going to explain to us how the hijacking of the Black Lives Matter moniker took place, because we're hearing all these stories about Black Lives Matter, and we think it's just one unit. It's not. She's also going to discuss how she became a target after exposing the illegal takeover. Before that, though, we're going to, Dr. Abdullah, we're going to speak with Dick Gregory's son, Yohanse, Dick Gregory's younger son. And before we get to Yohanse, though, the Faith Brothers are going to join us. And tomorrow, Temple University Professor Nah Dove will be here to talk about Black History Month, or African Heritage Month. And New York activist Charles Brown will also stop by. And also civil rights activist William Acosta-Riggs. Wow. You know, he marched with Dr. King and Kwame Ture. He was instrumental in setting up SNCC with John Lewis and Marion Barry. He's going to be here when we talk about African History Month. So if you're in Baltimore, make sure your radio's locked in tight on 1010 WOLB. If you're in the DMV, we're on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL. So, JB, how young, because, you know, the Ed was talking about his child support, but how young can we start teaching our children? For me, I don't know about anybody else, but they never taught this in high school. And I think that's where it starts. But at what level in high school do you think our children are ready to accept and process this financial information?
I think it's interesting that in the financial literacy classes that now are required to graduate, that they teach them how to borrow money. And I think that borrowing is the problem for especially our Black community, that borrowing, that we've learned to be like, to represent as something that we're not. Like almost everything that we have is borrowed. No, and that's for every community, but for our, young people, like, how do we learn delayed gratification, or how do we learn, strength? How do we learn? So when we started, like, oh, we want to keep up, or we want to be like, or we want to, we want to have what you have, or, when there was integration, it became such a level of assimilation on a materialistic level that we never got a chance to learn that what the wealth process, that everything that the white family had was a wealth process that we don't have, that we just don't have. So financial services said, let's get them to borrow from us so they can look like they have what we have. But you can live next to us, but they can own it, because they own it because they know the wealth process. So a black person can live next to a white person, but the white person owns the house. So they have wealth and you are borrowing. And so you're making payments. But let's also let them call themselves a homeowner, but they're only a home buyer. And they're going to pay us, and they're going to pay us these taxes, and they're going to pay this insurance, and they're going to help us. They're going to help us build this country on this. And look at how
Let me jump in here and ask you this question, though, because yesterday Dr. Taylor was here, and we were talking about voting, and he says, if your parents didn't vote, you're probably going to be one of those who are not going to vote anyway. When I was growing up, my parents didn't have credit cards. They didn't.
Fantastic.
That's the generation we came from. They didn't believe in credit cards.
Fantastic.
If you can't buy cash, and you can't afford it, you do without.
Fantastic.
That's with the household that I grew up in. I know many of my age.
Fantastic.
With the same household, they didn't have American Express or MasterCard and all that kind of stuff.
Beautiful.
So I'm just wondering, how can parents now, because we're in the credit card era right now, how should they teach their children? Because the children see them with credit cards. Go to the store and just, they think it's money, a credit card. They don't know that you have to pay it back. So again, at what age do they sit them down and say, listen, this is money. I've got to pay this back, even though I'm putting it on a credit card?
We have to learn to say no. And I've tried to explain to my family that my daughter knows no because I'm an entrepreneur. So there's a lot of things that she couldn't have. And plus, I was a single parent and an entrepreneur. So there's things that she just didn't have, went without, but didn't know. But as she's getting older, she's realizing like, whoa, Mom went without.
Well, let me jump in and ask you this. Was that difficult for you, JB, when she came to you, when she wanted something and you couldn't provide it? Was that a difficult decision there to explain it to her?
Even now. Yes. And trying to teach her now that it's a process. Like, that you can't tell me the day before tuition is due, that tuition is due. I said, when I asked you 2 months ago that tuition is due, you have to tell me. When I ask you when tuition is due, it's because I want time for this. And I'm committed to help her not have debt like I did, because I came out with debt. But, I want also to tell her that is a privilege and you need to understand. And then, she'll get all like sad and crying, and because she sees it as, oh, you're fussing at me. But it's very important to her to, I'm going to continue to be, to put that in there, that, you're going to tell me in advance. And I said, and we're going to work this through together. These are big ticket items. I don't just walk around with this, so but it's, that we have to just, be comfortable telling them no. And I don't, because they're just getting to that age from her, where they're understanding that I'm teaching her to understand, like, this is a big deal. These, you're hearing no, you have to understand that this is no, and that these, I've been doing this by myself a long time, this is, and this is how it is for us, and I want you to understand this, and I think that as parents, we kind of hide it a lot from the children, your struggle. But when they get over 18, we got to share it with them. We have to share it with them. And I think that it was time. Like when it was 18, I kind of just started pouring the faucet on, that it was like, this is what, this is how it is for me as, a person. This is my life. Yeah.
2 tweets. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because the one tweeter says the problem is the young people are getting credit cards at 18 with no job discover it's good. No job, discover is good for that. And I can attest to that, because in going to college as a freshman, they give you a credit card right away, like a $200 limit, but they just give you a credit card, and they keep increasing the amount as long as you keep paying it off.
And she doesn't have that.
Tell you how to manage your money. And you know, in school, in college, you got to eat. Sometimes you need books or something. You're going to use it. And that's where you start getting messed up, because they don't tell you that your usage is being reported to the credit card company. When you graduate and you're trying to buy a car or a home, and that late payment is still on there. So can you talk about that?
Yes. And the hard part for our families, unfortunately, is that you have too many families together or apart that have different financial values. And I know it's got to be hard when they're together, because it's really hard, you know, with a family when they're not together. Because my husband left when she was born. So we have totally different financial values. And he is more like, he'll finance things. I don't like to finance things. I didn't think she needed a car until you graduate successfully. You know, he wanted to have a car immediately. I was 100% against it, because I didn't. And I think it was a good idea. My father was like, you don't need a car till you can buy one. I didn't agree at that time, but it was a great idea. But she got a car going in, and I know it wasn't a good idea. So but I couldn't, you know, I was outnumbered. So you gotta somehow, I don't know how people do it, when you have different values. When I will say no, and then he'll say yes.
Let me again, JB. Your daughter knows that you have different values, so she
uses it against me.
They know how to work with parents. Yeah.
Yes.
They know how to work. They
Yes.
know how to go the weakest link.
Yes.
How to team up with the one that's going to be on your side, and they do it.
I tell him, he's the luckiest man alive, because he could just say, your mom said no. It's different. Like some men, they have a woman who, you know, wants him to spend money. He could just say, your mom said no, and let it go. Like, I know my dad wished my mother was like
become
that.
the bad guy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he says,
but here's another tweet for you. It's 11 away from the top. It's just greetings. Will you ask JB what she thinks the government will start to retire seniors early with the implementation of AI, artificial intelligence? That's from Eddie. He says, will you ask JB if she thinks the government will start to retire seniors early with the implementation of AI?
Well, I think that, I don't know about the government, because they don't give up much money, you know. So I don't know if they'll give them like some service years or anything like that. Like I've never seen it to anybody's benefit. Like the government, sometimes they'll like give people $25,000.
I think the implication is, JB, is that because AI is going to replace so many jobs, that a lot of the seniors are going to, they try to phase them out and replace them with this new technology.
And I think we should be careful with using the term AI. Like we should just say automation. You know, like I've seen clients like just be downsized just because of automation, because when they use AI, like all of the automation is computer artificial intelligence, but then, when they say AI, I like the term more for when you're talking about it for like media, when they take Carl Nelson's voice, and then they use you on a voiceover, but you didn't really do it. No. I think that I would love for them to say, let's just use AI for the arts and stuff like that, but they won't. So, but in business, I think we should just say computer intelligence or whatever. But I know, yes, I think that automation in business is going to take a lot of people's jobs, not just older people, younger people too. Like, unless you're in automation. That's why I think that data analysis is going to be great. Like, I think that older people that understand data analysis are going to be employed forever. I don't care what your age is. If you understand how to get information and analyze it, you're set for life. That's the future. Getting it and breaking down the data.
We're coming up on a break, and Charles in Baltimore has a question or a comment for you. He's on the line too. Good morning, Charles.
How you doing? And how you doing, JB?
Beautiful. Good to hear your voice.
Great. Now, I hear you talking about money, and to me, money and debt equals slavery.
No, that's right.
It actually is the catalyst to employment. And we don't understand that employment and slavery are the same thing. So can you explain how money and debt is used to keep us enslaved?
Yeah, I agree. Or like we use it to enslave ourselves. It's like it's not really that you're a victim. It's a choice that we've made. Nobody made us go out there, get this car that you can't afford, and drive and speed and then get a bad driving record. Now you're paying insurance on that vehicle that costs more than the payment on the car, and then they'll say, that you feel like a slave because you're working and you're paying more for that car than for the mortgage on the house that you're pulling up in front of, because you felt like you had to have a new car because of the house that you're living in. And then you know that if you start your own business where you would feel freer at, you would have to work so hard and you would have to sacrifice a lot. And then you might be alone a lot, and you might have to, live like JB Bryan and be working 24/7, and then 30 years later turn around and be like, "Oh, I've worked my whole life." Like but so some people feel like
that's all right there, JB. We're gonna give you a little rest right now. So take a deep breath, because we're gonna take a quick break here. When we come back, Chris in Silver Spring wants to talk to you as well. Family, you too can join this conversation with JB Bryan. She's a financial advisor. Reach out to us at 800-450-7876. Your phone calls in 4 minutes right here in Baltimore on 1010 WOLB. Also in the DMV, we're on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL, where information is power.
I'm JB Bryan, the creator of AfroEconomics, a strategic financial empowerment program based on 10 timeless financial principles like generational wealth and legacy, financial knowledge, credit confidence, entrepreneurship, self-reliance, and more. AfroEconomics gives you the guidance and tools you can use to develop and sustain wealth. Check out AfroEconomics on your favorite social media platforms. You will find us everywhere. Plus, enjoy my weekly AfroEconomics podcast. There are many levels of AfroEconomics membership, including the free online access membership level called No Excuses. So make no excuses and check out AfroEconomics.com today. Powered by JB Bryan Financial Group Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm. #AfroEconomics.
But now we know that babies should always be placed on their backs to sleep for naps and at night to reduce the risk of sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS.
You also slept with blankets and toys in your crib.
True. But now we know to keep everything out of the crib.
Last minute notice this.
Baby girl. No blankets, pillows, or other soft or loose items.
Daddy's going to teach Nana all the ways
It's
to
good
be
to
safe
see
while
y'all.
you sleep. Yes, he is. Yes,
Thanks
he
for the
is.
comments and the feedback.
For more tips on safe sleep for babies, visit
Carl's number. If y'all want to call him, I should put the number up here.
NICHD.nih.gov. Sponsored by the Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Institute of Child Health and Human Development.
You want to know what his number is?
Put it in the event so I can cut in. I'm going to cut and paste it.
Shares her story.
My daughter Kimberly was a
If you
healthy
give it to
high
me,
school
I'll have to
senior when she came home
type
from
it. I have it.
complaining that
I
her
got
entire
it.
body
You got
was
it.
in pain. As a nurse,
Do
and
you
a
have
mother,
use 78762?
Yes.
confirmed Kimberly
They
had
give me the same
meningococcal
number.
meningitis. I
I'ma
learned that the MenACWY
put that.
meningitis vaccine that Kimberly had received did not
It will
protect
put
her
it in
against
here.
meningitis.
Thank you.
Kimberly was fighting for her life. The most difficult decision I ever had to make take was to remove my beautiful daughter from life support. 2 different meningitis vaccines, Men ACWY and Men B, are needed to help protect your child against meningococcal meningitis, which is the most common form of bacterial meningitis in adolescents. Parents of teens and young adults, be sure to talk to your child's doctor about how to help prevent meningitis B.
Learn more at meningitispreactionproject.org. This message is brought to you by the Kimberly Coffee Foundation with support from Pfizer.
Donors choose the Porter Classroom.
Carl's number.
Did you know that every year public school
That's
teachers
Carl's
spend nearly
number to call in to
$500 of their own money for student supplies?
Question.
Let's do the math. That
There
comes
it
out to over $1.2 billion.
Do you have,
and that's just not right.
do your clients usually
We want students and teachers to have the
email you or
same
call
great
you?
education. And now, more than ever, they need your help.
Call or text.
I mean, it's funny. It's like our clients now, you know, it's like how it's changed over the years. Everybody just either texts me or emails me.
I know.
The phone, you know, doesn't ring like it used to. You know, it's because everything is, people just email me. Like I just got an email from this lady in California that wants to do a session later this month, you know, but they do.
And they expect you to respond to that email too.
Well, that's fun. But it's just funny how times have changed. It's like
you have to sit in there and check your email all day, don't you?
All the time. Yes.
Yeah, that's so good that you do that.
We talked about that yesterday, actually, too. We talked about that of being like a slave to the email.
Yeah, you have to. Somebody has to. And then
every table, and that very
that's the
particular
thing.
flavor in every meal.
Well, fortunately, with me, I'm always in front of the computer working, you know.
True.
But for maybe a business
It's
where
harder
you're not
for
in front of
me.
the computer,
Yo.
If that was you, then get your line screen now.
But what I have to do is like designate a time
Learn more
to go back. You get so much garbage.
This PSA was made possible by
You do.
Yeah, and Outlook, sometimes I'm like, is it helping or hurting?
Here we go.
Washington, 95.9 WMMJ HD3 Bethesda, WKYS HD3 Washington, WPRS HD3 Waldorf, and worldwide at WOLDCnews.com.
The views and opinions of the following show do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk 1450 WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management.
The Carl Nelson Show.
You're rocking with the most ultimate. All right, let's go. Keep rocking.
And good morning once again, family. We're on with the financial advisor, J.B. Bryan. Momentarily, we're going to speak with Johansi Gregory, Dick Gregory's youngest son, about his dad's work in the civil rights movement. Let's wrap up with J.B. We got a couple of folks who want to talk to her real quick. On line 3, Chris is calling from Silver Spring in Maryland. Chris, good morning. You're on with J.B. Bryan.
Hey, Carl and J.B. Bryan.
What's going on?
I have a comment.
Hey.
If you have young people that work, even if you have, because I had to learn the hard way. If you have these people, like if you have high school students or parents and guardians, I think they should charge this. Like if you have a parent, like a teenager in high school, or they just getting a summer job, charge them rent and make sure they write down a budget and understand. Because I don't want them to think that they have a lot of money to go out there. But I have to go to the polo outlet. I've got to go buy the latest pair of tennis shoes, and then next thing you know, their whole paycheck is gone. But if you don't teach them how to budget their money, they're going to think that when they get their paycheck, they have to run out and buy the latest fashions, or they have to go out and get drugs, or give to their friends or whatever.
That's right.
They have to budget, like you have to pay your electric bill, your rent, and you have to buy food. You cannot go to McDonald's, Burger King, and Starbucks and then charge it. Next thing you know, you've got an outstanding bill and you don't have any money to pay. It's That's right. But for these young people, JB, you must teach them the budget. Because if they don't budget, they're gonna, like, if they're working or something, when they get out, they're gonna think they have a whole check just to blow up.
That's right.
That's a good point, Chris.
Yep.
That's an excellent point. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yep.
My mother taught me that, and I had to learn the hard way. And I thank you so much for everything.
Amen.
All right. What about budgeting for young people? That's an excellent point. They think once they earn it, they're going to spend it all. They want to spend it all.
Yeah.
They don't believe in saving any.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah. I like that energy. And I think it's amazing to me is how many people have to kick their kids out of the house for their children to feel like they should contribute. I was like, I wonder why they'll go and pay rent to someone else, but won't feel like they should pay rent in their house. And if we could get, as he's saying, is like maybe that if that's that's how he could create that it costs for everyone to live here, but they'll go somewhere else, and help them, and it's amazing. Like not to be personal, but I remember, in my last marriage that broke up really quickly, like it broke up, quickly, and I was helping him start a business. And so I said, like, while you're getting your business off the ground, you should do your business now because I'm taking care of all the bills. And this is a good time for you to go ahead and do the business. So he was like, cool. And then he was like, you know what? I don't like being married. So he left me. And then he started renting an Airbnb, and he was paying the person, like $1,000 a month. And I was like, just think, like, you weren't paying me anything, but you're going to go and pay $1,000 a month to help this person, pay their bills.
Right.
And he said, I don't see it that way. And I was like, but that's really truly what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and we don't really think like how good we have it. You know what I'm saying? In our own home.
And we got to keep moving. Johanse on deck. Before we go to Johanse, Delano in DC has a question for you online too, real quick. Delano?
Yes. Hey, peace.
Hey.
I also have a question. I just want to kind of confirm, like reiterate what you were saying for us.
Yes.
Inform your kids about money. Like 8 years ago, I told my kids, like, we got to stop celebrating holidays because it's just costing us too much. I went to them, like, maybe we can put money towards something else that can maybe earn y'all money, teach y'all different skills. First, they was a little held back. They kids, but they had to follow my lead.
That's right.
And over time, it worked out perfectly. Like, 3 years ago, I was able to buy a house.
That's right.
Not outright buy a house, but I got one through loan. So I'm showing them where we making progress, but it's all because I'm able to save money.
That's right.
I also showed them my checks. I showed them how my bills come out my checks, what money needs to go to. So they're more receptive to me saying no to them.
That's right. And Delano, let me jump in and ask you real quick. How old were the children when you started breaking it down to them like that?
Well, my oldest is 19 now, so it was like 8 and 7.
Oh, okay.
Because they 4 years apart. No, they was like 11 and 7. I'm sorry.
Because it's important at what age they can understand what you're telling them.
That's good.
And on top of that, 2 years ago, because I have an 8-year-old son now, he about to be 8. So he only celebrated Christmas one time. I've got in a position, I make enough money now, and I'm an entrepreneur myself. So I got a position of where as though we are able to celebrate, but I'm still reluctant because I see how much progress we had.
That's right.
So 2 years ago, we actually celebrated Christmas.
That's right.
I went away from it again last year, but, I just don't want to I want to let them know, like you said, certain things are a privilege.
That's right.
Some things.
That's right.
Everything ain't for you in society.
That's right.
Right.
You got to be able to create it, make it on your own. If you can't do that, then it ain't for you to have.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's a good idea. Thank you, Delano. Thank you for sharing that.
Right.
We're rushing you because we're out of time here. I'm going to give JB a chance to respond to what you just said.
No,
it's JB.
Fantastic. That's amazing. It's 7 and 11, but it is amazing what kids can understand. And when the earlier that they learn to appreciate when they develop, they have such a better sense of appreciation. No, and maturity. But I don't know. It just seems like some people just have that spirit, but it does have like what you put into them really does make a big difference.
Right.
Put love into them.
Hold authority there, because we got to run, JB. 7 after the top. There, I got Johanse on deck, Dick Gregory's son. So how can folks reach you, JB? We want more information about finances.
Yes, indeed. Reach me at 1-844-JB-BRYAN. Mr. Johnson said that was a good dad. Yes, he is. Just like Dick Gregory, a good dad. Exactly. At the 1-844-522-7926. Indeed. Yes.
All right.
Good dads. Join AfroEconomics. That's right.
Thanks, JB.
Thank you.
All righty.
Thank you.
JB Bryan, financial advisor.
Great. Thank you so much. Juan Johnson is a good dad. Mike Benson is a good dad. If he's a good dad. If he is a dad, he's a good dad. Good dad. Good dads have more fun. Paul is a good dad. Paul Brewski is a good dad. Love y'all. Have a great day. Go see my mama. Take care.